And let's get going with our growth call for KW New England. This time of year, there's so many Mondays that we're closed. I just want to put my hugs around everybody and say hello, and I've missed you. And these calls give me so much energy. So I'm so happy we're back with call content and 201 Club. So make sure you stay on for that second half today. But Jen, who do we have?
I'm excited for today because we do have a guest on. We've had him on a few times since we've started this whole growth call craziness. And I'm excited for him to be on today. He is our regional operating principal. He is also an operating principal in Connecticut. And his name is Matthew Erdman. Matt, welcome to the call.
There we go. Chris is waving back. There we go.
Oh, boy.
What's happening, everybody? Do me a favor, unmute and say hello really quickly. I feel weird when I'm only talking to myself.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice.
Hi.
Now it feels like we're hanging out. Awesome. What do you guys want to talk about?
So, Matt, we just had some time together last week with the regional team, and we were working on our 2024 goals. So maybe we could discuss a little bit about why we were meeting and a little bit about what 2024 looks like.
Perfect. So that's actually a really good segue for me to talk about something completely different.
Perfect.
I will somehow morph into sounding just like what you asked for. Does that work?
You're good at that. So go take it away.
Sweet. So we will talk about that, but I did want to share. I wanted to share a couple of slides that I pulled out of from one of our all team meetings in the Market Center that is pertinent to Jennifer's setup there as far as focusing on next year. So I'm going to share screen real quick. I've been given a small window because everybody who knows me knows once you give me the stage, it's hard to get me off of it. So I'm going to talk fast to make sure I hit that timeline. But here's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the difference between stories and reality. So in life, in business, and absolutely in real estate, there are a lot of stories that fly around. And when I talk about stories, what I mean is messages that we hear over and over again that we start to accept as reality, even though if you actually pause and peel that onion a little bit, you may find out it's not actually 100% true. The real estate industry is full of stories for many reasons, partly because everybody pays attention to real estate, whether you're in the industry or not. People talk about real estate because most people own real estate, so it impacts them directly. The media talks about real estate because it directly impacts the economy. So there's all these conversations that are always spinning. Some of them repeat themselves over and over so many times that eventually we all start thinking they're true, and sometimes they are not. So I want to talk about a couple of stories, a couple of realities, because for us as professionals, it's important that we know what the reality is, and that we know how to communicate that in an effective and useful way to our consumers. So let's talk about a couple of them. The market is really, really hard right now. I'm not taking anything away from the challenges that the market is presenting currently, yet there's some facts that we need to understand. If you look at this is home sales by year from 1990 to today. This is where they're projecting that we will end 2023, which is 4.3 million home sales. Right? If you go back here to 2021, we were at 6.1. Feel free to unmute. Is that a big dip? Somebody say yes.
I'm seeing so many little head nods. Chris is always, I don't know what he does to be number one on my view, but he's always there. But I see his head going,
Yeah, I'm trying to expand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is big. It is. And do we get paid on units or do we get paid on volume? Somebody, anybody. Tiffany, I can see you're dying to answer me. Come on, girl. Volume. Tiffany, do you agree?
Me, Tiffany?
Yes, you, Tiffany.
Yes, I agree. Volume.
Perfect. We do. So let's jump to volume. Right. So if all I told you was that one stat, 6.1 to 4.3, right, we'd all go pour a drink and cry in our champagne or wine or whatever it is that we indulge in. And the reality is, if you shift over to volume, which is what we get paid on, here are the stats for volume. 1999 all the way to 2023, we are projecting to end at 1.44 million. That is the 5th best year since 1999. So while there are less units to be had per agent, the reality is prices have appreciated. That has backfilled a lot of that gap. And the amount of volume available is the 5th best since 1999, right? If you were in the business in 2020, we had 1.28 million and people felt really, really good about the market. Really good. The challenge is we experienced something that wasn't normal. And now that that is gone and we're back to something that resembles normal, it feels a lot different. Yet, if you go back to 2020, people felt really good about that market. We actually have more volume to work with today. So again, story, reality.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
how much of the agent count comes down? I mean, I think we had people leave the industry, right?
Phenomenal question. So the other thing that I want to stress is in a down market, everybody should consider down markets opportunities. Strong business people and strong businesses build themselves in down markets. That's when we take market share, right? So it might not feel as good as the up market, but the work you're doing actually has a greater payoff. What we do in the down market multiplies when the market comes back. That's when we take market share. If you go back, I was running a real estate office when the last market crash happened. My top producers at the time were $5 to $6 million producers. They're also the individuals who put their head down when the market crashed, which, by the way, was the worst real estate crash in the recorded history of real estate. Those folks are the ones who put their head down and came out the other side, minimum $20+ million producers. Some of them do over 100 million in volume. To Faye's question, the other thing that happens is the people who aren't in it to win it get out when it gets hard. And that actually leaves more space for the professionals who are willing to put their heads down and do the work and hone their craft to take that market share. So that's something you have to understand. We have not seen it on a national level yet. The board's actually declining. It's hard to believe it's not coming. My guess would be we're going to start to see that taking place in the last quarter of this year. Predominantly, it's going to be the folks not producing who are choosing to get out. And I want to stress, anybody who's on this call, I don't care if you've been in the business for 10 years or 10 days, don't think the market is a reason you will or won't succeed. You are the reason you will or won't succeed, regardless of what the market is. You have to remember, if you get in a bad market, the beauty of that is you don't get bad habits. This market will teach you how to be a realtor. And then when the market shifts, it's going to feel really cool because you've already learned how to do the work. You get in a really good market, you get tricked into thinking you're really good at it. And then the market shifts and you don't know what to do and you have a lot of bad habits. So don't be afraid of this market. It's an opportunity. All right, the next thing, mortgage rates are out of control. Has anybody heard that from consumers while you're at the barbecue or hanging out at the PTA meeting, soccer, whatever it is that we do? So this is mortgage rates over the last 72 years. Right now, we are in the mid 7s-ish, give or take. The 30-year average is 7.81. Are rates out of control or have rates normalized? Somebody unmute.
They've almost normalized.
They've normalized.
Normalized.
Here's the challenge we have. We are human beings and we have the memory of a goldfish. What we have here is 15 years of abnormal that have convinced us that that is, in fact, normal when it is not normal. Now that we're returning to normal, it doesn't feel good. This is information we need to know because a lot of people are having conversations like the rates are out of control. I'm just going to wait for them to come back down. There is not actual evidence, economic or historical evidence, that rates are going to be dropping down to the level that we got used to in the last 15 years. Okay, so the reality is when people talk about it being out of control, we need to bring facts to the conversation that the reality is we're just hitting what is actually the 50-year average for mortgage rates. Between the prices and the mortgage rates, it's impossible to afford. Right? You hear people coupling those two things together. Prices are out of control. Mortgage rates are out of control. People can't afford houses. Does everybody know there's a thing called an affordability metric that they measure? This is it. Since 1972 to now, average over that time period is 27%. That means it takes the average American 27% of their income to pay for housing. Today, We are at 29%. So we are 2% over what has been averaged since 1972. Is that what it feels like to the consumer? No, it feels different for them. And the feelings is where the story comes from, which is why we have to go get the facts and be the professional who knows how to deliver the information in a useful and helpful way so they can actually understand that it is not abnormal, it is not crazy, affordability is not out of whack. We're actually only 2% above what is the 50-year norm for affordability in the United States. Nod your head if this is helpful. Thank you. If nothing else, you're just kind. I'm going to hold off until things settle down. Anybody heard that one? Yep, lots of nods, big nods from Chris. He almost flipped over in his chair. So a couple of things. I just learned this recently, but looking at economics, inflation, all this stuff that none of us want to talk about right now. Here's what I learned recently. Okay, so rates, when the United States government wants to slow down the economy, what do with the rates? Yeah, exactly. We crank them up. The purpose of that is to get consumers to pull back on spending to lower inflation. One of the things I've learned is in order for that to actually work, the rates have to meet inflation. And when that happens, they meet at the top, and then typically inflation starts coming down. So if you look at this historical data, what it actually shows us is we just hit that point with interest rates that is actually having the intended effect on inflation. And so there's nothing in our economics to tell us that that rate is going to come down significantly in the near future. Don't have a crystal ball, none of us do. Yet if you just look at historical data, it may settle in a little, but if you look at current inflation, there is no reason to believe that it's going to drop down to the kind of numbers that the consumer is waiting for. Yet, if you look at inventories and price, if you look at inventories, there is no reasonable argument that the prices are going to stop rising in most of our markets. Remember, real estate is local. There are places in the United States where they're seeing inventories tick up, and that is slowing their appreciation. You have to know your local market, but for most of us, that is not the case. We still have a major supply issue, and that supply issue is going to continue to push up prices. So if I'm the person who says I'm going to wait until things settle down because mortgage rates and prices are out of control, nobody can afford a house, I just gave you the evidence and the conversation to debunk those two things and to be able to show them if there's no reason for us to believe that rates are going to come down significantly, but there is a reason to believe prices are going to continue to rise, waiting is going to save you money or cost you money. Unmute. I see one of these.
It's gonna cost you money.
Cost.
It's going to cost us money.
Cost you money.
This is what I mean when I say it's our responsibility to know the facts and be able to communicate it in a useful way to our consumers, right? This is the difference between being a professional and being a salesperson. Also, if you look at prices nationally, real estate historically appreciates at 4% year over year over year over year over year. That green line represents if real estate appreciated exactly that way every year rather than the up and down that it does, that all comes together to give us the median appreciation annually of 4%. So that green line is if they just delivered it to us consistently every year. That's not actually what happens. We have peaks and we have valleys. Follow that line to 2023. That would get us an average sales price of $357 nationally. And today it is $382. So it is about 7% over what is normal appreciation. Now, I would encourage you to check these numbers in your own market. I ran this for Connecticut. That's where my market center is. What I found was fascinating. If I went back to, I think I went to 1999, because that's as far back as I could find the data I needed, or maybe it was 92, whatever it was. I applied 4% appreciation consistent from that average sales price to today. And you know where I landed? Exactly what the median sales price is in the state of Connecticut today. Exactly. What makes it feel like it was going crazy is in my state, When the market crashed, we never rebounded. We kind of just stayed. So all that appreciation that we didn't get for all those years, we suddenly got it all at once, which made it feel crazy. Yet if you applied that 4% year over year, we are exactly where we're supposed to be for median sales price, which debunks the question of when is this real estate bubble going to pop? There is no evidence that we're in a bubble, right? So what I would encourage you to do, and then I'm going to zip it and take any questions if you guys have it. I would encourage you, and we can share these slides with you, learn these conversations, and then check the numbers in your local market so you can have this conversation on a national level and on a local level based on facts, right? Feelings are emotions. And then we create stories around those feelings and emotions. It's our job to bring the reality to that situation so we can better guide our clients. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Cool.
Matt, we do have a question in the chat from Faye. She said, what's the projection for inventory?
So it's definitely going to be market to market. They are predicting nationally that we are going to see it ticking up. Not necessarily, it's not going to be a suddenly thing, but we are starting to see it. Typically, if you keep an eye on markets like Florida, Arizona, used to be California, today I'd say Texas. If you keep an eye on those markets, typically things happen there first and they happen there big. So part of the advantage of being in New England, when it comes to the real estate market, it almost always happens somewhere else first, usually 12 to 18 months before we experience it. And it usually happens everywhere else bigger. So we don't boom as big, we don't fall as hard, and we're usually, in my experience, 12 to 18 months behind those leading markets where we see it show up. So if you look at some of those markets, you are starting to see inventory tick up. As that happens, it'll balance supply and demand, which is a good thing, and we'll start to see relief on the increase in prices. But I'm going to speak as New England as a whole. Generally, we still have a greater deficit in inventory than other parts of the state or of the country. I'm sorry.
Well, Matt, I think that these slides were absolutely spot on for today. So thank you for taking my topic and giving that, because that was amazing. I would like to ask everybody, or as many of you that you can, put in the chat or unmute. What is your biggest aha or something that you could add into the question when somebody asks you, how is the market from the information that Matt just provided for you? What could you now say? I'd love to see like one or like every single one of us here give one aha from one of the slides or a couple of the slides that Matt just gave us. So let's put that in the chat or unmute yourself. Strong, I got the market is great. What else? So here's the thing. What Matt just provided you was slides to articulate our market in a way that you sound like the professional. So you're setting yourself up to answer these questions. So that way you are providing actual information from history to today. So let's see. Great. Why do you ask? Okay. Interest rates stabilizing. Data speaks over people's perceptions. Matt, what would you say out of those slides, what is one takeaway that you would put into your world or use when talking with a seller or a buyer?
Yeah. So number one, anytime somebody asks about real estate, it's always great to follow up the question with the question, which is curious why you ask. Are you looking to buy or sell in the near future? Like, just find out why they're asking the question. A lot of times it's just curiosity, but I'm curious, why do you ask? If they're just curious, then I would tell them the tale of both sides. Here's what it's like to be on the buyer side right now. Here's what it's like to be on the seller side with facts. So an example of how this could show up, I had a bunch of neighbors over my house watching a football game 2 weekends ago. And they all started talking about real estate, and they all started talking about it with the same terms. Like, it's out of control, it's crazy, prices are ridiculous, mortgage rates are off the charts, blah, blah, blah. And like, I sat there and let them talk. And then I just asked a couple of questions. Like, one of the gentlemen, I knew his age. I knew different places he lived and how many different homes. And I was able to say, hey, I'm curious. Like, you used to live in Pennsylvania, right? From what you were telling me, you moved there when you first joined the military. What year was that? What were the interest rates like back then? Like, and I just opened up the conversation and then was able to share actual facts. sometimes I will just respond. You know what? I hear that a lot and I understand that's how it feels. Here's the reality. And then I'll just tell them. If they're talking about mortgage rates, I'll say, here's the reality. Current mortgage rates are actually right at a 50-year average. We just got really, really spoiled because for 15
very
years,
one.
they were way below average.
I think that's an easy one and a great one to use right
Mm.
now with your buyers. So thank you for sharing all of that.
I think that's the biggest one that I got, actually. It was my big aha, was that the mortgage rates do a 50-year cycle and that we're right where we're supposed to be. So that was good.
And you could have the price conversation and it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah,
I totally get it. I understand that it feels that way. And then you
Mhm.
share it.
that was perfect. Thank you.
I know, like I've had I had a client who said they were going to wait for the rates to get below 5. And I said to them, you're going to be waiting a long time. You may never see that. Or you may not see it for a long time, but for the economy to be running at a good rate, everybody's making money, everybody's working, interest rates for mortgages need to be around 8%. So if you're looking for interest rates below that, then our economy is not doing well, because if you look at the history of that 2%, that's where it came from.
Yeah. And I'm way over my time, which is why I got threatened in the very beginning, because this is what I do. That being said, it's the same conversation. We don't know for sure that rates won't get there, like in the near future. There's no reason to believe that they will. However, if they do, you have the option of refinancing. So does it actually make sense to ride home prices up, waiting for a rate that when that rate shows up, you'll be able to get it anyways and not, and all that increase in price will be your equity rather than the extra money you're paying for a house. So let's get you in now. As home prices go up, that becomes your equity. And if in fact rates do go to 5, awesome, that's time to refi. Now you got the equity and the rate. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, though. I'm going to be done. Otherwise,
Thank you, Matt.
these gals are going to show up at my house and hurt me.
Too long of a drive. It's okay. Anyway,
Thank you.
so
Yeah, I'm
thank you,
muting
Matt.
myself.
It was a great conversation, great dialogue. Brooke and I were texting back and forth, like, let it go, because
Oh,
this is
nope.
great dialogue to have, and to have a better understanding when we're having conversations with our buyers, our sellers, our friends and family, when we're really talking about the market, because they have a perception of it, what's on the news, and that's not really reality. So this is the reality of it. And these are great talking points for when you're out there and you are the real estate professional. So thank you, Matt. And we don't mind you going over. So great job. Okay,
Ready?
Brooke, take it away.
You know, it's my favorite stuff. It is growth call content time. And what better month to be in for growth call content than Halloween? Oh my God, it's so good. All right. Calendar is available. We are continuing with lore. We are almost done. Today, we are with underwriting as part of our helping our consumers and people who follow us understand different words in lending and real estate. So what's really cool about this is, from agents who I've had conversations with, they tell me they get a lot of DMs, which are direct messages or private messages or texts about these. While their posts don't think they're getting engagement, people are watching on this one. Please tag in your preferred lenders on this one. Okay, so they can answer any questions. Say, who has questions for lender, blah, 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 blah. This is the time to ask. All right, that's Tuesdays. Then get ready.
Oh no, did we just lose Brooke? That was like a teaser of all teasers. Oh, here you are. You're back. Okay.
Am I back? Welcome to being in the office. What my internet is unstable as I am. Okay. Where did it leave off?
Go ahead. Take it away for that. Right here.
You crack me up.
When that happens, it is the great candy corn debate. People love it or hate it. There is no in between. And when you put this on your Facebook, get ready. There is going to be a war. You want an engaging post? It's this one. People are hot about this. Is it, what do you think? Do you like it? Put it in the chat. Is it wax to you and it should be left? Or is it like, oh my God, it's fall, that means candy corn and pumpkins?
No judgment, but they're gross.
I think they're
You
just
like them? I'm
absolute-
sorry. I'm sorry that offended you. I just think that no,
No.
it's like a cavity.
It's
Like you
wax.
just eat one and you just got a cavity.
Yeah. And if I'm going to waste my calories, I'm certainly not wasting it on that with all the good calories that are all over the world. Created by kids that ate crayons as kids.
The only thing candy corns are good for is to shove them on your teeth.
Yes,
as
and be a
you were teeth.
vampire.
Yeah,
Be a vampire. It's the only thing you do with them. Whether
that's
you-
the only thing they're
Yeah.
good for.
I need to hear from Matt Erdman. Matt, are you a fan of these? Because our
It's so funny. I was thinking if my wife was here. So I do not like candy corn. My wife lived on candy corn for a
Oh.
period of her life. Loves them, loves them, loves them. To me, it's just like eating a sugar cube. Gross.
a waxy
it's a
sugar.
sugar cube, and I'm gonna have to speak
Sugar-
with you about this.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yes.
deal.
So this was, I can't wait to see what's on. Make sure you use the hashtags because we follow you on your hashtags and go in and we comment when you use them. And then for this or that Thursday.
Brenda,
What?
sweet fish.
Yes.
Brenda. That's all.
Oh,
We're-
see, I'm team like good Haribo gummy bears or Sour Patch Kids. Like if I'm gonna eat sugar like that, that's what I'm gonna have. All right. Then for this or that Thursday, I don't know about you guys, but I am still not putting the heat on. I am one of those that I don't care. You put on a blanket, you wear mittens, you do not get the heat till November in my home. So we have fire. Even though we don't have fire, we just bring the fire pit inside. I'm just kidding. We don't. So which do you prefer? I know Karina, I get to see her pictures all the time. Are you team fireplace inside? No bugs, no sky, no outdoors? Or are you team fire pit where we're roasting marshmallows, we're having s'mores, we're fighting those late season buggies? Who are you? Put in the chat. And this, we asked this week for bonus points for pictures of the fire pit or fireplace. Great engagement. And here's the other thing. People are going to naturally say, I need to redo my fireplace. I wish my fireplace was operational. What do you do, friends?
I'm with Lisa. I love both. We were at Matt's house last week and it was 60 degrees and I was hoping that the fire pit was coming out, but it didn't. So I left. So I guess fireplace is more.
Yep, he tried to freeze us out. It's okay. It's okay. But this is a great chance for you to now loop in vendors who do this. Right? Vendors who do this. And then you can even go deeper and ask for, do you decorate? Do you have a seasonal fireplace? My mom always did on the mantle. She always changed it out month by month. And it's one of my favorite memories of my childhood home. So use these, get that engagement up so that when you do things like share the amazing numbers Mr. Erdman gave us earlier, people are listening. So you have to be smart, you have to be sassy, a little bit funny, and a little bit educational. All right, friends.
Good stuff. Good stuff today. All right. We have a winner.
Do
It's
it. So-
2:30. I know we rushed through that a little bit, but all the content gets given to you, by the way. It's really that easy. So you get to learn some stuff and you get to take some of the social media and use it in your world. So it's as easy as being here on the call to win. And we just put a wheel spinner up and our winner, oh gosh, I just had it. Wait a minute. You have to be here to win. Okay. Our winner is Tammy Whitney. Are you still on the call?
Yes.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
Oh, do you want to know what you won? Do
Anything.
you want to know what you won?
I like never win anything. I don't even know what I won.
Well, you won one of the best things on this
That is so
planet.
weird. I was just gonna order that.
Well,
Now
you
you
don't
don't-
have to. We're going to send it out to you. You get the playbook printed, sent to you. So congratulations. Look at Seth already having it out there, using it. I'm sure you're killing it in this world of real estate, Seth. But Tammy, you get it. So please send me an email. I'm going to put it in the
Okay.
chat just of your market center so we can get it out to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you,
All
Jen.
right.
Hi.
All right.
Congratulations.
Good job, everyone. So stay on because we are doing 201 a little different. So I have to stop the share and re-record. Jen, Matt, Tiffany, all the team that's on. Thank you so much. So stay on. I'm going to hit that stop button.